We're here at the NASSCOM Game Developer Conference, where there's a huge crowd gathered here to really figure out what India's place is in the overall international gaming industry. And joining us today to talk about this is Bibby, who's with Untiy Technologies, and he's been developing games, helping people develop games for over 30 years now. Brett, it's great to talk to you. Thank you for taking out the time and being here.
Thanks for having me.
So we're here at the conference. India, which has recently become part of your overall Asia portfolio that you're looking at.
Yep.
What comes to mind when you're here in India?
It's amazing, actually, to see. I think there's over 1,000 people downstairs, they said. It's like 1,200 people down there. Like a lot of enthusiasm, I think, comes through quite a lot. It's great. It's great to see all those people come out.
Mm-hmm. So where are we really heading? Because we're in this time where platforms and devices are changing from consoles to smartphones to tablets, and games are being played everywhere, really. So where is this whole journey going?
Right, so certainly mobile devices are going to continue to grow. They're not going to go away now, right? We're all addicted to our phones and tablets and the convenience they provide, and the power that is inside a tablet nowadays is just, it's crazy. It's better than a home gaming console would be just a few years ago. So that's not going to go away anytime soon, and it's just going to get better and better. So I think what we saw before is like the PC used to sort of lead the charge, and now I think we're going to see mobile development, mobile first is kind of what people talk about. Within that, then now we got this confusing array of products and services and business models. There's been some talk already this morning about that, and there's free to play, premium. So that's probably going to be the battleground of business models on smartphones and tablets, I think, in the next year.
So does it make life easier or better for a developer, or even more tougher when, especially an indie developer is looking at perhaps putting out a new cool game out there on the block?
In terms of the devices or the
in terms of the business model, the choice of basically monetizing his effort?
Yeah. One of the biggest problems, maybe you don't get it here so much, but I always find it interesting when I go to a conference that a lot of times you'll see all these speakers talking about, this free-to-play service, that free-to-play service, or whatever. And a lot of people don't realize, especially if you're young, that a lot of these are kind of pseudo-sponsored sessions. Venture capital-backed companies that come out, throw a bit of money around, and so you come out and you think that, wow, look at all these people, and there's so many talks on free-to-play, that must be the way to go. Mm-hmm. And I think, for a country like India, you're going to have to find your own way. You're going to have to you're going to have lessons learned talks coming where people tried something and said, well, actually, that didn't work. You're going to have to get your own sort of know-how, if that makes any sense.
Sure. But you have been working with game developers across multiple geographies.
Yes.
For Indian game developers right now, what are the most critical challenges, the basic areas of focus?
The biggest challenge is always who are you going to sell your product to? Who's your audience, Are you making the equivalent of fast food, or are you a 7-course dining experience, right? Are you a buffet, or are you drive-through fast food? And so that applies to games as well. Not everybody wants to see, you go to the movies, you see a romantic comedy, or you see an action adventure, but how many people want to go see a romantic comedy, action adventure, drama, horror movie? Right, It's this kind of thing. We think that we'll just throw everything in.
Unless you're watching a Bollywood pot boiler, where it's like kind of all in one. That's
right.
The only exception.
But then that has its own mental model, doesn't it?
Right.
Right. When we see the movie, we see the logo, the cast, the trailer. We know what we're getting, and I think that's the important thing. In gaming, it's still not quite mature yet, so that's why we have the genres, right? Your shooters, your platformers, your whatever the genres may be, and then people are now saying we can get outside those genres, we can be creative. But people don't really want to be a creative experience, they want to be entertained. So then this is where it all comes, like, should I choose free to play, should I be premium, should I go after an established genre, should I break new ground, should I be somewhere in between, what platform should I be on, what price point should I be on? So these are all things that you sort of have to, either risk, follow what others have done successfully, or get the know-how. You've got to go out, do your own research, figure out what works, what doesn't.
Where do you think the money really is, or will be increasingly as we move to 2014?
Well, so what free-to-play is really doing, and what people talk about in free-to-play, is actually driving. I'm going to be very unpopular, right? Everybody, free-to-play, because they look at mass numbers. They're going to say, oh, I got 100 million, or 1 million downloads last month or 2 million downloads. I'm like, okay, that's nice. And then they might even say I made this much money. But the reality in free-to-play is that most of the money comes from a very small percentage of the users. And that's fine. So, but there's a way of releasing a free-to-play. There's a different kind of customer that's in. And I just think you have to look at what's in you. You know, where's your passion lie? If you've always wanted to make romantic comedies and you wanted to make movies, then you probably should go make a romantic comedy because you'll do that really well. And if action adventure movies were the big thing, I don't know that you would successfully translate into that. So it's really about matching, where your skills are, where your passion is, identifying an audience, and really delivering a quality experience to them. Then the business model comes a bit second. Right?
Okay.
But people don't do it that way. They think business model first, and then they try and make something for that business model. But nobody really goes by business model. I don't go see a movie based on the price of the ticket. I decide I want to see a movie or I want to be entertained. In entertainment, I can choose games, books, movies, music. I say I want to go see a movie, and of course I might want to then talk about price or whatever, but if I want to see this movie and it costs this much and it goes to that theater, then you pay that much.
What's your reading of the Indian gaming market per se out here, vis-a-vis, of course, the far more developed and, of course, the bigger market overseas and in Asia itself? What do you see happening in India over the next few months?
In terms of Indian game players or developers?
Both.
Right.
Because it's an ecosystem at the end of the day, both are interacting,
Sure.
the developers and, of course, the gamers themselves.
Sure. Well, historically, I think India's got long roots in terms of IT development. Obviously, they've got started doing outsourcing and whatever, and there's a lot of schools and education support for learning the technologies involved. Art has also come up. And out of that, then there's been sort of this outsourcing of full games, where people in the US have been funding certain projects to be made in India, which are then brought back to America or other markets and sold. The Indian developer doesn't really get much credit historically, but that's given them the base skill that they need to grow from there. So I think what we're going to see is people out of these established studios making indie games part-time. I think you're going to see more students, obviously more and more students being more interested in the arts and technology, gaming, entertainment generally. I think they're going to start then making more indie projects. And these will probably meet at some point and come together where you can take the experience of shipping stuff with sort of the new markets in tablets and smartphones, and probably we'll see maybe in the next 12 to 18 months, we'll probably see some decent sort of Indian credited games come out. On the consumer side, I think it's such a big country, and obviously there's the issue about how I pay for games. So, what is the transaction model that I can buy? I think we need some more work there in order to make it really easy for everybody to get involved.
So as far as Unity goes, how do you see India as an opportunity? What are the plans here?
Sure.
What are you looking out for?
So Unity as a user, in terms of the number of people using Unity to develop games, is really high. It's on par with Australia. It's slightly above Australia, actually. So we definitely think that there's going to be, there's definitely a lot of people using Unity now. The sales don't necessarily reflect that, so we have some challenges in motivating our users to actually buy fully licensed legal software. And I think that will happen in time.
So do you have a plan to overcome this issue of piracy, as you mentioned in the talk earlier as well?
I think it's just about providing value and supporting users. I think it's more important to us to take a user and help them be successful in the market. And so we're really committed to that. We'll help people write code, we'll give them advice, we'll do everything we can to get them to the App Store to make money. Because if they're making money, then they're going to understand that they sold software, and if it was pirated in turn, they wouldn't make money. So if we can help them make money, they're going to understand that appreciation of, hey, I need to invest in my tools and my technology to ensure that as I move forward, this ability to make money will still remain there. Obviously, if no one paid us, we'd be out of business, right? So at some point, everybody has to do that. But this will come with it. This will come with maturity in the market for sure.
Well, thanks for talking to us, and good luck with your plans here in India.
Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you.